Should. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Fishin, the podcast where we discuss history's greatest tribe and.
You can do this. You can do this.
My brain just broke in half. We discuss history's most historic tribe and help the whole community become better Merfolk players. I'm Kody, one of the co-hosts of the show.
History's most historic tribe. I love it.
And not Kody Smith on Twitter. And I am joined by my co-host, Matt. How are you doing, Matt?
I'm great. I am fantastic. It is great to be back. I have been off for 3 weeks. I wish I could say I was on some awesome European vacation with Chevy Chase, but unfortunately I was indisposed with real life kicking me in the gonads continuously. Not as hard as they've been kicking you, Kody, but my balls hurt. Let's just say that.
Thanks.
But it's great to be back. I'm so happy to be able to interrupt Kody while he's trying to do things and take things seriously. And it's awesome. I'm ready to podcast.
Honestly, I wouldn't consider a vacation with Chevy Chase now to be a very awesome thing. I would not want to volunteer for that.
Actually, I heard back in the 60s he was kind of a jerk too. So
yeah, I mean, I've basically only ever heard that he was a jerk. But he was in one of my favorite movies, The Three Amigos. So that's
maybe a Vegas vacation with Nick Papadopoulos.
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe.
Joke around over your head. Look.
It's just a metaphor, dude.
His people are completely literal. Metaphors are gonna go over his head.
Nothing goes over my head. My reflexes are too fast. I would catch it.
I'm gonna die surrounded by the biggest idiots in the galaxy.
Our other co-host.
Hey, Kody. Sorry, I'm a little bit late. I was trying to. What's going on here? What?
Oh.
Who's?
Dorian, I didn't mean for you to see us like this.
No, seriously, you're bringing him back into. I thought we had something special here going.
It's
Kody,
not you. It's me.
What's going on here?
No. Now I'm getting it from both sides. Hey,
I go away for a couple weeks, and you invite somebody else into our cast.
Listen, I can explain.
You've been replaced.
Communication is important in an open podcasting relationship.
Well played, sir. Well played.
Polyamory, or podcast hosting. I don't know. But
some real quick thinking from someone who takes it from both sides.
Literally and figuratively. So Dorian, Dorian and Matt. This is the first time that we've all been together. So welcome the both of you to our show. This is cool. I'm glad that you're both here.
Super excited. I'm glad Dorian's here as a permanent member of the Fishin community and Fishin podcasting hosts. Ultimately, Kody and I sat down, and it was unfair to the community that really follows and supports us that due to personal and family and all the other BS that we have to deal with, that we couldn't put on a show on a regular basis. So we made the adult decision to bring in another person into our podcast marriage, and it's been fantastic. And I'm so excited. More often than not, you're going to get all three of us, but if one of us can't make it, there's two there to pick up the pieces. So super excited.
Yeah, we're gonna have to figure out something if in the case that I can't podcast because everything is recorded on my computer. But we'll figure something out. Maybe you guys can just record yourselves and send it to me, and then I can. We'll discuss that.
I'm literally gonna record it on my phone and just text the file to you.
Okay. Yes. That would be good.
I was just gonna upload raw audio straight to YouTube and then just have it figured out right there.
Yeah, hey, that works.
All I'm hearing is, Kody, we got it covered.
Okay, yeah, we'll get it. We'll get our act together one of these days. So
if you didn't think one person screwing with Kody the entire podcast was great, now you have two.
Oh God, this is my hell.
Just wait till we get guest speakers on or special guests. It's just gonna be 3 people.
Well, so thank you, everybody, for listening and subscribing. Make sure that you go to the podcast app store of your choice and rate us, preferably 5 stars. It really does push us up in the in the ratings there, but also tell your friends about how awesome our podcast is, because we're pretty awesome. I'd like to think we're 3 grown adults podcasting about a fantasy themed collectible card game, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Remember that you can support us on Patreon. Believe me, your support helps out so much. Like, you guys have no idea. It really gives us like immediate feedback, like, hey, people like what we're doing enough to support us, and even as little as $1 supports us way more than you think it does. It really helps kind of keep us motivated and keep pushing, and it also helped pay my water bill. So
and if you think we're going to use that dollar for like anything that's scrupable or bad, you can like send Kody cheeseburgers or nachos or just any food item. He would appreciate that too.
Yeah, I've been eating a lot of ramen recently. That's
and he'll take your thoughts and prayers.
Of course, my thoughts and prayers go out to the victims and their families.
Of course, yeah. Thoughts and prayers.
Thoughts and prayers.
Tragedy like this really puts things in perspective.
No. We are a polite podcast, and I cannot say the joke I want to say on air.
We're a family podcast.
Yes.
Talking about polyamory and communication and relationships and taking it both ways.
All that is consensual.
Yeah, like it could be.
It better be.
I'm gonna have to do some solid editing in this episode.
This is all gold.
And remember that you can go to Inked Gaming, use code FishCast10 at checkout to get 10% off your order, and it also kicks back that 10% to you boys over here at Fishin and Merfolk Podcast. We didn't get a new patron this week, but I did ask our Discord channel, which, hey, come join our Discord. We, like Matt said, we've been kind of busy with real life and things going on in our lives, and we're all 3 busy in different seasons of our lives. But we try to get in there as much as we can to chat with you guys, and it's lots of fun. And come talk to us about Merfolk. But so the random Merfolk this week was picked by not only Pie Boy but Handsome Dan from our Discord.
Seconded by Handsome Dan.
Supported very strongly by Handsome Dan. Positive communication. And they picked random Merfolk number 107. Matt, since you haven't been here for a while, let's have you read off this wondrous creature. So we had some technical issues that resulted in this card not being read. So I'm going to go ahead and read the random Merfolk that was picked. It's Merfolk Observer. It's 1 in a blue for a 2/1 Merfolk Rogue. And it says, when Merfolk Observer enters the battlefield, look at the top card of target player's library. Thank you, and we'll be right back.
That's it.
That's the card.
It's got flavor text. The structure gets bigger every hour, with hedrons coalescing even deep under the surface. If only I could get inside. It sounds really dirty.
We're having a dirty episode this week.
Don't put that evil on me.
Rename this this episode something dirty.
Something lewd.
Can we have Christina Aguilera "Dirty" playing in the background the entire episode?
Just on a loop.
Just on loop.
We're already not monetized.
Yeah.
So I don't think. Thoughts on this card? I mean, there's really not much to say. It's pauper legal. Is it is it possibly pauper playable?
It's a bear that dies to everything that pauper, gets rid for mass removal.
It's not
even a bear. It's not even a bear.
It's a piker. It's not a bear.
Piker. That's the one.
Oh. Eldrazi make everything worse.
Even the Merfolk.
I just don't get it.
Yeah, I just don't see ever using this this card in any fashion unless you're building a specific Merfolk deck that plays only bad Merfolk.
In a Rise of the Eldrazi flashback, this card probably wouldn't even be draftable. You get to, look at the top card of your opponent's library. You don't even get to fate seal anything.
Yeah, that's the biggest. I think that's the biggest miss right there. So if you could fate seal, this card would actually be pretty legit.
It's target player's library, so you could look at your own top card.
Oh, so
Ooh.
you're telling me I can look at the top card of my library, then Jace the Mind Sculptor myself, and already know if I want a Fate Seal or not?
Yeah.
Legacy playable.
Legacy playable Merfolk Observer. It's
You know what?
Yeah.
It pitches itself to Force of Will.
Yep, that's true. No.
Yep.
And Force of Negation.
So we're running 4 of Merfolk Observer in the next Legacy stream. Just
Yeah,
kidding.
well, I'm
just
You're
here-
kidding.
you're totally gonna 5-0 that league too.
Oh, for real.
Well, from what I'm hearing in the Merfolk Discord and the Merfolk group, we have a what's it called? Silvergill Adept is slowly, going by the wayside.
Yep.
So
That's what I'm saying.
something needs to take its place, and maybe it's this card.
I mean, this is like stocks 101. I'm literally watching the market right now, and Merfolk Observer has increased from 26 cents to $5,000.
Wow. So if you have your foils, I believe that you are set for life.
You can now retire.
Yeah. We'll make sure to pass on this information to the MTG Finance people on Twitter. They love it when you do that.
Yes, they like being told what their job is and how to do it correctly.
Yeah, that and
And if you know any MTG Finance people, tell them about the reserve list. They really enjoy that conversation.
yeah, it's really great. They love it.
And if you want to know some people who really enjoy it, you can hit me up on Twitter, and I will let you know who they are.
Yeah. So nothing else really to say about this card. I think we're just making fun of it to pad out this segment. So next up, the reason that we're here today, we're gathered here in the presence of God and these witnesses, is because there's a new format coming to Arena.
Historic. I'm super stoked.
It's Arena's online arena. I said Arena Online. It's mixing up the good platform with the bad platform.
I prefer paper arena, just FYI.
Yeah, no, but so this is basically Arena's eternal format. So if you play a similar game, Hearthstone, there's 2 formats. There's Standard, which I believe rotates every year. I don't know Hearthstone that well. But then there's an Eternal format that has a separate ban list, and you can basically play cards from the game's history. So this is kind of Wizards' attempt at having an Eternal format where you can play, your old cards. And unfortunately, with Merfolk kind of rotating out of Standard in the fall, that'll be the only place that you can play Merfolk.
I have to say though, I think the name Historic is a little confusing, misleading. I think they should kind of shuffle the names of all the formats, and Historic should actually be Legacy. Legacy should now be Modern, and Modern should now be Historic, because that wouldn't be confusing at all, and it makes more sense.
So are you saying like Legacy should not change, or
No, Legacy should now be called Historic because it's the most historic of the formats.
What
Okay,
about
and then-
Vintage?
vintage is vintage? It's the it's self-explanatory, and it is the best format because all those cards have aged like a fine wine.
Kody, this is like Magic 101. Why don't you know this?
Because I'm not good at my job apparently. But so we basically
You became
have,
so heavy to carry, we had to bring on a second person to do so.
I'm such a slacker.
Oh, yes, sir. You've got a real attitude problem, McFly. You're a slacker. You remind me of your father when he went here. He was a slacker, too. Can I go now, Mr. Strickland?
So with this new format that's coming out, I mean, like I said earlier, it kind of signals the death of Merfolk and Standard because most of them are rotating out with the Ixalan block. But Dorian,
yeah.
what do you think about this format? Do you think it's a good idea? Do you think I don't remember even hearing what type of ban list they're going to have. Maybe they're going to wait and see how the format shakes out a little bit to ban cards. But what are your initial impressions?
So my initial impressions basically feels like, for now, it's just like a return to the old extended format. For those who joined when Modern was already set up, extended was the version of was an older format. It was still a rotating format, but it allowed you to play with your pet deck essentially for an extra 2 years, and you could add some of the newer cards that were coming out as well. Well, due to the limited amount of sets that we are going to have to start off with Historic, it is feeling a lot like that to me. We're just basically going to be playing Merfolk with new toys up until we get the backlog of Amonkhet and Kaladesh, from what I'm hearing in the rumor mill. With those being,
I hope not.
Yeah, which would suck, because who loves everything, or who loves nothing more than wheeling a what is it?
Aetherworks Marvel.
Aetherworks Marvel was that one. Wheeling
because
that
we all know
into,
the Kaladesh and Amonkhet standard was so awesome.
It was the best ever. It was what was it? Hitting WotC's like every 6-year mark of having a ban in standard.
Yeah.
Like I actually counted this out a while ago too. Was that it was like from the very first ban announcement in standard, it was like almost every 6 years. I want to say it was like not exactly 6 years, but within that 6th year.
So you said that talking about bringing in Amonkhet, because in the initial stages of the beta, they had all the way back to Shadows block. So have they said that they're going to be bringing those forward, or are they just going to start with Ixalan?
If you re-release them now in a historic format, it's going to completely warp it. And all the decks are just going to be Locust Gods and Marvels and Saheeli Cats and things like that. We're just going to have a ridiculous ban list. In a few years, when a few more sets are in there and it's feels more like a modern type thing rather than standard 2.0, I think it'd probably be a little bit safer to bring some of those cards in. As there'll be more answers to some of the issues. But currently, I think it's actually really smart. They're going to start with Ixalan. Ixalan was the set was fine. And I think actually all the sets forward the power level has been pretty much okay.
So actually, Dorian, I was going to ask you about this because you brought up the comparison to Extended, which if you hadn't brought it up, I was going to. One of the things that people did not like about Extended was that it rotated. And that kind of was a problem, for lots of reasons. But for new players that are coming to Magic from Arena, do you think that this format will be good and overall good for the format or for the game? Because like if you build a deck, on Arena, and then you decide, I'm going to buy this deck and put it together and play it at my local game store, and then you bring in a historic deck, and they're like, these cards are not legal. Do you think that could be confusing for new players?
I think it might be confusing for new players if if they aren't told beforehand the difference between historic and standard, especially with how close this rotation is going to be with historic and the current standard. But mitigating that, I think that this will be good for Magic as a whole.
No, Dorian, I completely agree with you. What's happening here is we need a place where people can play their cards that rotated out of standard. And Modern has just, better or for worse, become a cesspool of a format.
It has become a degenerate format for the time being. We survived Eldrazi winter. We are going to survive, hot summer.
Yeah, but even let's theoretically say that all those cards that are awful for the format get banned out. Just hypothetically speaking, I'm not going to name names, but let's say they do. That's still a really difficult place for an influx of new Magic players to jump into as an Eternal format, between power level and speed and cost of entry, etc. Whereas having this new format of Historic, you have a place where they have a lot of the cards they've started with Arena, and they can jump right in, and they'll have a really good idea of what the power level is, because the power level is what they've been seeing already.
Yeah, 100% agree with that. The format, I think this format is going to get better as more sets get released. with in the future we're going to see a lot of different decks shape up and just something more than just normal tribal. I am kind of liking the fact that we are going to have like the Merfolk, Goblin, Elf tribal decks that have existed in all the formats. So these ones are just not going to be as powerful for obvious reasons.
And a lot of people who've been like poo-pooing this over it being like just standard 2.0, I think one of the things they fail to realize is we're having Core 19, Dominaria, and Ixalan all cycle out. And we're going to be getting in this brand new fairy tale set, the name I can barely pronounce, so I'm not going to try. But adding that in, and so having these new cards or having completely new mechanics, and then incorporating them with your scape shifts and your Teferis and all your miscallers and things like that, I think you're going to see something that's going to be very, very different. I mean, until we get spoiled the new set, it's going to be really tough to not call it standard 2.0. But as soon as that gets spoiled and we see what cards are really kind of format warping and then have some cool synergies with the cards that are going to be rotating out into this historic format, I'll be honest with you, I'm super stoked. I cannot wait. And I think this is going to be a really fun paper set too.
Yeah, the one thing I'm looking forward to with Historic is that there is a lack of fetch lands. So you don't get the that MTG loading screen basically, but you
never reprint fetch lands in a standard set, IMO.
No, I kind of agree with that. No, I was playing during Con Standard, and that was just kind of horrendous.
Oh
and
my god, it was awful.
That's part of the reason Frontier never became a thing as well. And
I'll be honest with you, Kody and I played Frontier. It was a fun format, but it was still too expensive with the fetches.
Oh yes, it was. You were basically just playing cons block good stuff.
I played a 4-color deck in Frontier, which is kind of nuts because like you had basically perfect mana, and you had Siege Rhino. So I mean, what more can I say? It was a fun format, but like Matt said, it seems like it kind of defeated itself. But
now for Historic, I would love to see Siege Rhino kind of come back. It was a fun mid-range card. In my opinion, it was fun. The deck that it became a part of in both what was it, Blue Abzan and what was it, Green Mardu or something. Those two were the decks that just abused Siege Rhino as much as they could, because I think there was some way to keep blinking Siege Rhino a couple times.
Well, without fetch lands, Siege Rhino is actually probably a fine card in Standard. You can put it in a core set most likely. I mean, three off colors is not super easy to get, and you're not consistently going to be playing on turn 4.
Yeah, that's fair. So Matt, you brought up earlier that we had
we're in the woods and we want to stay there. Let's talk more about rhinos.
This is still historic related. Where you talked a little bit earlier about the power level of Amonkhet and especially Kaladesh block, with multiple bannings, infinite combos, in Standard, and all that just horrible nonsense that happened during that stretch of Standard, and kind of the more recent sets. We have core sets back, and Ixalan wasn't super high powered. There's definitely powerful stuff, but compared to Amonkhet and Kaladesh, I'd say it was a very tame set. And Dominaria,
yes, and that was probably very much intentional.
Yeah,
I think Kaladesh was the one that kind of overshadowed Amonkhet a little bit. I feel Amonkhet didn't really do much to change the Standard format other than adding the Scarab God to.
Scarab God was just too powerful. It was the single card that completely warped the entire format.
Well, so do you think that there would be some weird power imbalances because of that? Like, should they bring those formats forward? Obviously, now we have core sets, which historically have not been very powerful, and then we've had several kind of low power sets. So would adding
So I
busted
mean
set
I
break
can
it?
answer this for you real quickly and real simply. The biggest issue that those two sets in particular had was they had very, very powerful synergies that did not have much interaction with them. That was one of the things that bringing core sets back helped with. If you look at those cards in a vacuum and you apply it to like modern, most of those cards don't see modern play, and where they do, it's more fringe. The only one that's really calling out to me right now, and I could just be mistaken, would be the Walking Ballista and the Fastlands, obviously. So I think the issue you're going to run into is when you have more sets, then you'll just be fine because there's going to be more ways to interact with these things. But by themselves, those sets were too powerful, and the Dominarias, the War of the Sparks, and Return to Ravnica, the Electric Boogaloo's, and all the other stuff that we have right now probably aren't enough to tame those down.
I see your point on that one, and I I can sort of agree. I mean, I didn't have much experience with Amonkhet standard. I basically like skipped standard until Ixalan came out.
Yeah, and the reason I asked was because we as fun as Merfolk has been in standard, and as fun as decks like dinosaurs and a lot of those non-control decks have been, I just think that adding those two blocks in particular would really spice things up. But I think you're right, Matt, that by the time that they do decide to actually put those out, we should have more answers, and it shouldn't be quite as big of a deal.
My Wizards likes money, and people like spending it on digital product. Yeah, so I wouldn't be shocked if we had it in like about a year or two.
Bring back Scavenging Ooze, and there we go. All the Scarab God problems are solved.
There you go, and you're not wrong. I mean, Scavenging Ooze is a fine core card. One thing I will say is that we are going to have some cool Merfolk decks still when Historic comes out, because the modified Golgari decks are still going to be around with Branch Walker and Jade Light Ranger, and we are still going to have the mono blue tempo deck. I mean, those versions of those decks are still going to be alive, at least at first, when it comes to Historic. So that's going to be really cool to see.
Yeah. And, I mean, this is basically a death nail for Merfolk in Standard. I mean, just because there's so much of the deck that's rotating out, I would be hard-pressed to see.
Is Ben the only Merfolk left that's, like, decent?
No, there was the spoiler that we got as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so there's that, and
it shows how much I pay attention.
Dominaria is rotating out as well, so we're losing Merfolk Trickster. So basically we're gonna have,
and we're losing the one from Core 19, the Graveyard.
Yeah, the Mistcaller.
Mistcaller.
Yeah, so honestly, we are losing basically the whole deck, and we'll have Ben,
except for the card that the Merfolk Fishin Podcast spoiled.
Merfolk Fishin Podcast. What are you on? Get out. But so
did he do that on purpose,
maybe.
Or was that a happy accident?
We'll just turn it into a bush right there. So you're right. Like, unfortunately, when moving on to arena content in the future, we're probably just gonna have to do Historic, and that's fine. I have no problem with that. Plus, it'll be cool to see what decks come up. In the format, it'll give us lots of opportunities to flex a little bit.
Bro. We're gonna get a legendary Little Mermaid card in Fairy Tale set.
Oh, I'm sure. The watery tart,
and preferably a Prince Eric. So
yeah. Well, those have to be in the same deck.
I think we'll be fine.
I mean, yeah. So we're probably gonna get one or two Merfolk cards in this set. We don't know enough yet to know if Merfolk is going to be enough in this block to really to justify a full on Merfolk deck. But Merfolk have paired up with fairies in the past, and there's definitely something there that we could probably work out, maybe.
Yeah, with the new standard, it is really tough to say, because we have currently, it is, what is it, Phoenix? Or I should say, is it Drake's? And then, because I think they only lose, aside from cantrips, they lose like the one 3-drop Drake. And
So I actually have the metagame up right now. It's Vampires, which dies, Bant Scape Shift, which dies, Esper Tempo, which potentially can survive, Jund Dinosaurs, which dies, Bant Ramp survives, Boros Feather is going to be, I think that one survives.
Most of it should.
Yeah, Simic Nexus dies, Mono Red Aggro dies, Mono Blue Tempo dies, and Jeskai Super Friends lives. So, I mean, I skipped over a few variants of the ones I mentioned, but so, I mean, I think it's going to be wide open. And that might be intentional too. So we're getting a lot of the fairy tale cards going to be coming out and working those in. The only thing that's going to be true in the new standard that everybody knows is coming is Teferi.
Yeah. Well, we still have Baby Teferi. There's still just a metric fish ton of planeswalkers thanks to War of the Spark. So it'll be, like you said, it'll be interesting to see where things go. Honestly, like it'll be cool. It'll be interesting at the least.
Yep, Baby Teferi is an annoyance too. I didn't realize that it was an at all times. I thought it was only on the opponent's turn.
No.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I learned real fast where it's like, oh wow, I cannot respond to this removal spell on my combat step.
If it's one thing the Wizards is great at doing, it's breaking Teferis and Karns.
Yeah, it's definitely a really big sticking point of theirs. They're like, oh, this Karn.
It's a family tradition.
Yeah. Like even when you have a spell on the stack and your opponent plays a counter spell, you cannot counter that.
It's really good. But luckily, it's a non-creature spell, so we can counter it with Force of Negation.
The next Teferi just says, if your opponent's having fun, they lose the game.
It just reads game 2. I think that's kind of I think that we're all pretty pro historic. It'll be really cool to see where it goes, and like you said, Matt and Dorian, it'll be cool to get like little, because we get Merfolk maybe once or twice a block. So it'll be cool to see like what kind of pieces we get, and maybe it can make it might make some Merfolk maybe more playable than they were in the past because of other cards that come out, other synergies that that could help the deck, and who knows, maybe we'll get something crazy in the set like Spreading Seas or something like that, and that would really boost up Merfolk and Historic.
It would be cool, but right now we don't have any of the Island Walk Lords, so it's almost unnecessary.
Oh yeah, that's fair. I didn't think about that.
You literally just pooped on Cody's head.
Yeah, I not to be mean about it, but it's like the only reason we run the Spreading Seas in Modern is because it grants us Island Walk for our Island Walking Lords.
Dorian, do you see how much my back hurts from carrying this Joker? Do you see why I need help?
Yeah, I'm here for you.
Yeah. Well, so we're gonna move on. We're gonna move on real quickly, and we're going to discuss number one. Thank you again to Jeremiah for taking Merfolk to the GP, and hopefully you got it. Yeah,
Jeremiah,
awesome.
Thank you.
It was awesome of you to do that, Jeremiah. So hopefully you were able to
send those cards back.
Yeah, I need those. I need my. Actually, hold on to it for now. I'm mid move. Don't mail them just yet.
Send them to me. I'll make sure he gets them.
Well, that works as well. I still need to. We still need to definitely meet up again because I've got this webcam here for you. I keep forgetting to give it to you. But so
before we move on, do we need to tell Jeremiah anything else just on the podcast?
I don't think he actually listens to the podcast. He listened to our.
Can't talk about his favorite sandwich right now.
What's Jeremiah's favorite sandwich?
Pastrami on rye. Duh.
I don't get it.
You wouldn't.
Well, anyway, so we had an interesting top 16 at Grand Prix Minneapolis, and
it was Hogak.
It was
Spoiler.
Hogak summer, not hot girl summer. It's Hogak summer. And
top 16. We had, what was it, 5 in the top 8, or it was over half, right?
I think it was 7.
Was it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5?
Yeah. So I mean, that's just a lot of Hogak.
Hey, at least it's
seven
going to
in
be
the top
emergency
16.
banned before GP Vegas or Magic Fest Vegas or whatever they call them now.
It's not getting banned, Matt. I think you.
What?
How could you do this, Watsy?
Conspiracy hat time. It's on purpose because
yeah.
they want modern to go down and they want people to start playing historic.
The Illuminati already knew that they weren't going to ban it. It's just one of those things that you have to understand about our system of government. I mean, the ban, the way cards are banned. But in any case, so there's lots of Hogaks. There was lots of
It's
Mono Red
pronounced
Phoenix.
Hogaki if it's multiple.
Multiple.
That's the plural.
Is it a murder of Hogaks? But in any case, Hogak took the whole tournament. First, second, fourth, fifth, seventh. So there was a few. Obviously...
You like Hogak mirror matches? Well, come on down to GP Vegas, or you can play Hogak.
This Sunday. Check out the top 8.
Who will board into their ley line of the void first?
MT.
And who will get by it first?
Channel File Brawl presents GP Las Vegas and my cousin Vinny's art show.
Special guest Hogak.
Yeah. So there's a burn list in there. There's a humans list in there, an Eldrazi Tron list. Affinity with hardened scales. We had a few Mono Red Phoenix lists. But boys, girls, whatever you feel that you are, Merfolk was in the top 16. With Ben Bauer coming in at 16th place, he defend, he attack, he bounced their Hogaks back. I mean, Merfolk. I should get out of this business. I have no business writing lyrics for bands. But yeah, it's a great deck, and there's a very awesome troll in the mana base. Dorian, do you want to go over this list real quick? Starting with the creatures, because it is a very interesting list.
Yes. So this list is, hold on, I gotta scroll all the way back down. There we go. All right. Runs quite a few 1-drops. In the creature base alone, it is a total of 7 1-drops with 2 Benthic Biomancer, 2 Mistcaller, 3 Curse Catcher, which is the Merfolk the 1-drop we all deserve, but not the one we need right now. As well as let's see, a 1 of Thassa, God of the Sea. And then we have, yes, that one I thought was great. Then we had 3 Harbinger of the Tides, 3 Marrow Rajiri, and then the standard 4 ofs, which is Lord, Trickster, Silvergill.
Yeah, Silvergill Adept, aka Best Fish. Nikachu, don't at me.
hey, none of this matters. It's the mana base that matters. 1 Waterlogged Grove, 4 Mutavolt, 4 Lonely Sandbar. If you think the 4 Lonely Sandbars are spicy, what he plays next is just what throws it over the top. He plays 11 of the best card ever printed, Basic Island. But 10 of those basics are snow covered. 1 is just white bordered.
It's Island 335 from Core Set 8th edition.
Just 1 copy.
This is the one you grab out of your deck, or out of your side, or like out of the main deck when a creature gets path to exiled.
Yeah. Like there's no reason to run snow covered in here. Like we all just sat here and looked at the decks like there's got to be something we're missing.
Yeah,
where's the snow matters?
There aren't honestly too many blue snow matters cards in Magic's history, let alone in this deck. So
this is legit. I like the way this basic island looks, so I'm putting it in my deck. I don't care.
Yeah, and just that it's white border, like you said, Dorian, with either like
Field of Ruin,
yeah, Field of Ruin,
Mutavault.
Yeah, and you go get the one white border basic just to be like, oh yeah, you wanted this, you did this to yourself. Take this white border.
But if you look at the sideboard, it's actually kind of funny because you got 2 Ceremonious Rejections for Tron and for probably Affinity / Hardened Scales, Dismember for Hogak, 2 of those, 4 Graph Diggers cages for Hogak, 2 Hurricles Recalls for Affinity and or Hardened Scales,
and Grixis Urza.
Oh, thank you. 1 Spell Pierce for Hogak, 1 Surgical Extraction for Hogak, and 3 Vapor Snags for Hogak.
Well,
yep.
There's a reason why you take 16th.
What is the Spell Pierce for against Hogak? Because I think that's just to maybe swap out 1 Force of Negation against a control matchup. But
I think it's counter target Faithless Looting.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
that's all I can see.
Yeah, so I just looked just for science. There are only 20 blue cards with Snow Matters. And it doesn't even look like most of them are modern legal. But so yeah, so the Snowlands really are just there for no reason. The last bit of cards in the deck are 3 of Aether Vial, 3 of Force of Negation, and 4 of Spreading Seas.
Yeah, the cutting the Aether Vial I thought was pretty interesting because normally that's a 4 of. I can see cutting the 1 Force of Negation.
Yeah, and especially because, like we've said before, Merfolk only runs 20 lands. So, the Aether Vial kind of helps make up for the fact that we don't have a lot of lands. But I guess it kind of does make sense because basically after your first Aether Vial, you're kind of not happy to see more of them. I guess now you can still cycle them out with Benthic Biomancers, but this deck only runs 2 of those, so your chances of being able to flip it for another card are kind of low.
Yeah, no, and I think on the group, the Ben, who created this version of the deck, was talking about how he would edit it after running it at GP Minneapolis. He was saying that Mistcaller was one of the least impactful cards, despite having it in the main, and I think he wanted the extra Benthic Biomancer and either the 12th Lord or the 4th Harbinger. No.
Interesting. I mean, it feels like Mistcaller should be fairly decent against the Hogak meta. But
you in theory, because Hogak is cast technically, so it is. Yeah, so Hogak gets around Mistcaller's activated ability on that, and then the rest of the creatures that this would hit are May abilities.
Yeah, fair. Like the Phoenix and Mono Red Phoenix, Gravecrawler, that sort of thing. So it's I think Vengevine is the only one that's not a May. And I could be wrong there. But so the I could totally see wanting more Benthic Biomancers to kind of just filter past cards that you don't need. But honestly, I think that one of my favorite cards in this deck against Hogak is Harbinger of the Tides, because your opponent has to jump through a lot of hoops to get Hogak out, and then they swing, and you're just like, eh. And you just pop it back into their hand, and they've spent so much time and so many resources.
Oh, just so much resources, yeah.
To get Hogak out, that it can be really hard once they've delved away their graveyard to really get back to recasting it. And then we obviously have Merfolk Trickster to keep it tapped down, Marrow Regery to tap it down as well. And yeah, it's just we could keep 1 or 2 Hogaks locked down fairly easily.
So what I'm hearing is Magic Fest Vegas is going to be Merfolk playing 4 Harbingers and 4 Vapor Snags main board.
Vapor Snag actually wouldn't be too bad, honestly.
I'm not joking, actually. Vapor Snag main board against a 90% Hogak meta seems pretty decent.
So one card that I'm actually really interested in with this list is Lonely Sandbar, which only came into modern legality because of Modern Horizons. Honestly, I think it's fine because in modern right now with Merfolk, you're basically wanting to play on your opponent's turn as much as possible. So unless you're playing against the Baby Teferi deck, holding up mana for a Trickster or something like that, and then they don't do anything, you just cycle this Lonely Sandbar. And the downside of it coming into play tapped is a little concerning, but with Aether Vial, we could kind of semi-make up that time lost.
With London Mulligans, I don't think it really matters. Because I think 99 of 100 times you're never going to play this as an actual land.
Yeah, I mean, Lonely Sandbar, it hits the same tempo that we would deal with when those of us run like Fairy Conclave.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, this wouldn't draw as much hate from non-basic land removal. So I think you're pretty safe. And on the rare chance that you don't have a 1-drop in your hand, you could just drop it turn 1 and not be that far behind.
Okay, so I found what Ben was saying about his deck, what he was going to cut for the 2 Mistcallers and replacing them. So he was going to add a 4th Aether Vial so that he, bring him back to full playset, and then adding the 3rd Benthic Biomancer.
No, that makes complete sense, especially what we were just talking about. If you're going to have your Lonely Sandbars be there for more just card draw than anything, you're going to need the extra Aether Vial to actually be able to play your cards.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's fair.
And I do find it interesting though with his change, because that one of the things I was also reading why he didn't have a lot of the draw lands from Modern Horizons was due to the fact that it causes a pretty big loss of life with burn being pretty prevalent in the metagame.
Yeah, I can see that. Especially, I mean, it's just so fast right now. And in the mono red prowess decks too.
Yeah,
Yes.
the Phoenix prowess. There's just lots of red. The red aggro decks are back, baby.
Joke's on you. They never went away.
They never go away, like Merfolk.
Yeah. This is gonna be great. I am so looking forward to once Hogak gets banned, we get to a nice, stable, modern metagame where people are complaining about, is it Phoenix again?
I mean, I'm not trying to be like a Debbie Downer. I'm really not. But is Legacy the only thing worth watching at Magic Fest Vegas now? Like, and unfortunately I'm being dead serious because like Standard's kind of stale at this point because we've seen these decks for a million years.
It's solved, yeah.
Yeah. Modern is going to be a crap show, and
Hogak
that
Summer.
leaves. Yeah, I mean that leaves Legacy, right?
Yeah.
For now, yeah. I mean, is Legacy even going to be big at this Magic Fest? I thought it was limited in Modern.
Is it only limited in Modern that they're going to show? I thought they did everything last year.
One of the years they did everything, and
Okay.
I think that was just way too big of a logistics hassle for them.
Okay.
Especially trying to fit everything in. What was it? I think it had to be 5 days because you had.
I drink a lot of salt water, so I mean, there is a good chance I'm making stuff up.
Well, I mean, any last safe rounds for Ben? I mean, congratulations, Ben. And we kind of covered a lot in this episode. Do either of you guys have anything else to add before we go into our final segment?
I do. Dorian, I think we had great chemistry. I'm super happy you're here. If you would like to kick Kody out and just have it be mine your podcast from here on out. I mean, I think I own at least 33%. You own a 33% now. I mean, we can kind of do that.
You can vote
Yeah,
me out.
I mean, it is possible. I am still a little bit hurt that I had to find out about everything this way. So we, I will keep that offer in mind if Kody starts treating me unfairly.
Mutiny. But yeah, so remember, if you have any questions, you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook is at FishcastMTG. Oh wait, we have our other segment. I'll just do these plugs now. You have to wait till after the plugs to hear the final segment. If you have a long form question, feel free to email us at fishcastmtg@gmail.com. Our cover art was made by Tessa and Hunter Pruitt, and our logo and stream art was done by Ishton on Twitter, with our animated intro by Jake Boss MTG on Twitter. Tessa and Hunter just had a baby.
Yay!
So congratulations to Tessa and Hunter. Congratulations on the sex. Good job. If you like what we're doing here, please rate and subscribe in the Apple or Google Play podcast app stores, as well as find us on Patreon at patreon.com/fishcastmtg. Now we're going to move into the opening hand, and I used Ben Bauer's list to make up or draw our hand using deck. Tappedout.net because you can draw a sample hand. So our sample hand here. Do you want to flip a coin for the play on the play or on the draw?
Let's see. We were on the draw last episode.
Okay, so let's be on the play.
Yeah, we'll do on the play for this episode, and then we'll alternate.
So even episodes will be on the play, and odd episodes will be on the draw.
Yes.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, or we could figure out what MTGO's like roll algorithm is, so we can figure out why Merfolk always seems to be on the draw every single game, no matter who you are.
That's too much. That's too much work. I'm not about that. So this is an example hand. We're in VP Minnesota, and we are on the play. In our hand is a snow covered island.
What round is it?
16th.
16th? Did they have 16 rounds?
I don't know. 16th, so I thought 16th sounded pretty good.
Let's say it's game 1 of day 2. I don't remember what his record was going into day 2, but
it doesn't matter. He's playing.
It had to be X2, so at least X2. But so we have a snow covered island, an island, a curse catcher, a merfolk trickster, a silvergill adept, a benthic biomancer, and a force of negation. On the play.
Snap keep.
I think so.
I would keep. Yeah, we have like two. We have a choice between 2 1-drops, and none of our lands come in tapped.
So play a land, play a curse catcher, pass. Then next turn they play some sort of shock red land. They don't play their Faithless Looting because the curse catcher's there. The next turn you play your other island and pass. They try to play their Faithless Looting. You force negation it. Your turn.
Yeah.
And at that point you can start playing stuff.
I do think you're missing out on something. So we do have Silvergill Adept. I would play the Silvergill Adept on, if I'm still on the play, because we could reveal Benthic Biomancer if we need to, and then pitch that to the Force of Negation when they try to play the Faithless Looting and then pay the 1.
That's fair. I can buy what you're saying.
Or not even do that. We could play Benthic Biomancer and Silvergill Adept, and then as much as I hate to say it, pitch the Curse Catcher to Force a Negation, because we know that they're going to try to play a Faithless Looting on their turn 1.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, if you don't have Force Negation in this hand, I don't think it's keepable. But since you have it, then snap keep.
Yeah, and Silvergill also draws this a little bit deeper. So like Dorian said, turn 2, play Silvergill Adept, reveal one of your 1-drops, the 1-drop you ended up not playing, draw a card, and then you have a known card that you can pitch, or you draw something else that is either helpful or not helpful, and that can help you make your decision on what to pitch with Force. But yeah, I think this is a great hand. Maybe not the best hand, but now the only other question is, because we have our white border island in this hand as well as a snow-covered island, which do you play first?
Lucky Island.
Yeah, I am the kind of person that made all my island basics a white bordered basic land just to make my opponents angry.
Hey, if you're gonna play Troll Island, you live on Troll Island.
Oh, it's great too. I also had to find the one that looked more tropical, so that when I do switch between Simic and Mono Blue, I don't have to switch my islands out.
Yeah. So thank you everybody for joining us this week, and thank you to both Matt and Dorian for being civil about this this reveal. I didn't mean to startle you with this new information, but have a good night, everybody, and we will see you all next week.
I was gonna let Dorian do the sign off because I'm that kind of a guy.
Oh, thank you so much. So for those of you listening, if you are a avid Merfolk player and want to be, have a shout out like we've been doing the past couple weeks, all you have to do is get good.
I'm gonna do the sign off now. Have a good night, everyone.
Have you tried sucking less?